So Corbyn, when Parliament resumes tomorrow, yes, Parliament's going to resume tomorrow, and then it's going to break up after a week for another few weeks. I know, it's preposterous, but hey. Corbyn to try on Tuesday to stop a Parliament shutdown. So I'm trying to get this exactly right, but it looks like Corbyn is trying to take control of the diary, basically take control of Parliament for the week with the backing of a cross-party coalition of MPs, including some renegade Tories who want to vote against Boris Johnson. And he's going to try and wrestle the diary to try and come up with some legally binding or pass some motion to say that Boris Johnson can't take us out at the end of October without a deal. Man, pretty sure people voted in 2016 in, out. Pretty sure it didn't say out as long as we can get a deal. Pretty sure it didn't say out as long as the EU aren't mean with us and create this backstop an imaginary backstop that they won't remove. I don't remember it saying that. I remember them saying a lot. I seem to remember them saying a lot. It'll be an in-out referendum, and if we vote out, we will either get a deal or we won't. But we'll be out. Don't remember them saying out as long as we can get a deal. As long as we can get a deal. So he's going to try on Tuesday to stop this Parliament shutdown and grab hold of the diary and try and stop Boris Johnson from taking us out of Parliament and no deal. And as I said at the beginning of this live stream, so Boris Johnson has said, right, okay, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to call an election. And his support has been diminishing rapidly. I'll come to it in a second. He has not played a good game this year, folks. Not at all. There is something to be said for Boris Johnson's plan here, of course, and it's something that he did say in his speech tonight, and he did touch on it. This could all be a bargaining chip, you know. It could all be a bargaining chip trying to get the EU to drop this nonsense with the backstop. This backstop, the backstop can't be removed. We must have the backstop in the middle of the Irish Sea. What is it? You know, the ice wall from Game of Thrones, is it? Is that why you can't get rid of it? Because it's immovable? Just like the ice wall, it's fictitious. It's a thing of your imagination. Get some adults in the room. But of course, you know, they use this as a way to frustrate Brexit with Theresa May. And that's how they try to wrap it up in Brexit, in red tape, in bureaucratic red tape. I seem to remember somebody time and time again saying, you know, if you have an in-out referendum and you don't define what out is, you're leaving the door open for them to wrap it up in bureaucratic red tape and just ignore it or make you vote again. I seem to remember somebody over and over and over saying that over the last couple of years. Whoever he was a smart guy. It could, of course, be a bargaining chip, this could. Now, they've announced extra money that's going to Brexit preparations, and there's a campaign starting, an advertising campaign, Get Ready for Brexit, and the government have released their thing out today on the website, which you had to play around with. Don't worry about it, guys. If we have Brexit, I think you're not going to have a fast queue when you go to Spain. You might have some roaming charges. And yeah, if you're a business, there might be some friction at the border. Whatever these problems are, we will get over them. They're not problems that are problems. We can't fix that. They put a man on the moon. Do you think they can sort out a deal with a trading bloc? A trading bloc, but by the way, the EU, if we leave with a no-deal Brexit, it'll hurt them just as much as us. Do you think they won't want to sell BMWs and Mercedes to us? Do you think the Italian, designers, the clothes designers, won't want to sell their Versace and Gucci and Louis Vuitton to the elite down in London? Of course they will. They'll be pressuring the governments to do it. Sort this out with the UK. Do you know how many BMWs they buy off us a year? Sort it out. Otherwise, you won't get your funding. You can imagine what's going to happen. So this money that they put for the extra, Brexit preparations, I actually read into it, and in the Financial Times it said the extra money was just put in a pool that people could bid for. It wasn't actually distributed straight away. As far as I know, it hasn't been distributed. As far as I know, that money hasn't actually been spent. That extra money, do you remember all those billions? Think about it. This could be a bargaining chip to try and force the EU's hand. So Jeremy Corbyn, of course, is going to try and get this coalition together and stop the Parliament shutdown. Just a couple of things. If he gets in, first of all, if there is a vote of no confidence, this is something that could happen, by the way. A vote of no confidence. I'm not sure whether there is actually any protocol to say that if there's a vote of no confidence, the Prime Minister must step down. I believe from a cursory reading that it's only, it's only just something that they do. It's only like tradition that if there's a vote of no confidence and they lose, they step down. What's to say if there's a vote of no... If that's the case, what's to say that Boris Johnson as a vote of no confidence, he's asked to step down and goes, nah, I'm delivering what the people mandated me to do. What are they going to do then? We are in a time of constitutional crisis, remember. They were in contempt of Parliament last year for not releasing the data that showed that we were stuck in the EU with May's deal until 2099. Anyway, so all of this that they're trying to do is to try and avoid a Brexit on World Trade Organization rules, or as Corbyn calls it, this.
The Prime Minister is suspending our Parliament in order to try and prevent Parliament asserting its authority over government. What we're doing next Tuesday is doing our very best to prevent a no-deal exit from the European Union because of the damage it will do to jobs, to trade, and that it will pave the way for him to do a sweetheart trade deal with Donald Trump and all the damage that will do to our public services.
So he's saying that you've got to avoid it because it's going to affect jobs, it's going to affect trade, and, it's going to move them... Donald Trump, it's going to let Donald Trump buy the NHS. We're going to have Trump on all the on all the hospitals in this country. I'll get to the fear-mongering in a bit. But it was in-out, remember, that referendum was, Corbyn. It was an in-out referendum. I remember it. I succinctly remember it was an in-out referendum. It wasn't out, but only if we get a deal. It wasn't out, but as long as it's not too difficult. 17.4 million people voted for it. By the way, I wasn't one of them. I didn't vote for Brexit. I voted Remain. I was talking to my girlfriend today, Hitch, and she didn't vote. She voted for Remain as well. We both did. But both of us respect democracy, and both of us have seen what has happened in the last few years, and both of us have said, stuff this. We need to get out of this thing. Just thought I'd let you know that. It's a principle, this is. It's a principle. The country still feels the same. If you look at the opinion polls, they're basically the same that they were the day before the referendum in 2016. And if we voted again, what would happen if we voted to leave again? Well, there's a lady who I noticed who was on TV who answered that question, a staunch Remainer. You're going to love this. You're going to absolutely love it.
If we were to have a second referendum, unlikely that would happen, and the result of the vote was the same, would you accept it finally then?
No, because we live in a democracy. No, because we live in a democracy. No, because we live in a democracy. No, because we live in a democracy.
If we were to have a second
That's what we're up against.
referendum,
That young lady
after
there.
the vote was he then?
No, because
That's what we're up against. If we have another vote and we vote to leave again, she obviously wants a second referendum. If we have another second referendum, a people's vote that she wants, and we vote to leave again, she's going to say, no, we can't, because we live in a democracy. That's her answer. This is the realm that we're in now in this country. This is how screwed up people are. This is how uneducated they are on what's going on. It's simply because our media is just so terrible. I don't tell people the truth. They don't educate people. I digress. And of course, if they win, if Remain wins in a second vote, the people who voted for Brexit first time are obviously going to demand a decider. If you're in a democracy and you vote for something, do it. You have to. If you don't live in a democracy. You have to do the thing that people voted for first. If you want to go back in the EU then, fine. Try and get a referendum on it. If there's enough weight behind it, you'll get it. People did last time. However scary, and this is the thing, this is why, even though I voted Remain, and even though I think leaving the EU, do you know what? It's a neoliberal enterprise. We need to get away from it. But even though it's going to hurt leaving the EU, however scary the thought of a no-deal Brexit is, it's far more terrifying to not uphold the result of the 2016 referendum. However scary a no-deal Brexit is, it's far scarier not to uphold the result of that referendum. The reason is, obviously, if we don't leave, if you don't implement that referendum, if you have another referendum, you are proving to the electorate, you are proving to the people in this country, you are proving to people around the world that democracy in the United Kingdom is irrelevant. Will of the people doesn't matter. Voting doesn't matter. You are proving it's a rigged system. And Jeremy Corbyn and the Liberal Democrats and these coalition of Remainers who are trying to stop this happening right now are saying, yeah, we know it's a rigged system, but let's have another vote. Jeremy, you're so disappointing. You can't vote your way out of a rigged system. You can't. And if we don't implement the 2016 referendum, if we don't do that, you are proving that we have a rigged system. Now, of course, this is something I've been saying all along. It's rigged. We need to get in the streets. We need a revolution. I'll get to that at the end. But he's basically saying, hey, I know the elections are rigged. Let's have a vote and we'll sort it out. You can't vote your way out of a rigged system. If democracy is irrelevant, then so are all the democratic processes within it. So what's the point of having a vote? None at all. Which brings me to Jeremy Corbyn. What the hell is he playing at? I don't get it. What the hell are they playing at? Up until last year, the end of last year, the recess last year, he was playing a blinder. He hadn't put a foot wrong. And then this year, all of his decisions have turned to dog shit. I'll get to that in a bit at all. But are they trying to lose? Now, Boris Johnson is threatening an election here. I said to my girlfriend this morning, I said to Hitch, I said, this is a head fake. This is a step over. This is a Cruyff turn. He's just pretending to do this because he knows the other side are going to go, ah! Which they did. He knows that is going to be extremely unpopular with the country because he's going to look anti-democratic. He's going to look anti-British. He's going to lose support. And it looks like in the polls he's slipped and he's losing support. You've got to ask. You know? Are they trying to lose? Every time he tries to stop Brexit, he loses support in the North and the Midlands. His heartlands, the people he needs to keep on to win an election. He needs to keep those constituencies in the North and in the Midlands that voted to leave. Overwhelmingly, mine in Wolverhampton and West Brom's the same. We voted to leave 2-1 because of neoliberalism and the manufacturing jobs going from the black country. We were heart of the black country was the manufacturing sector. It's gone. Those jobs have gone. We voted 2-1 to leave the EU, and Jeremy Corbyn needs the support of the people in the Midlands and North, and every time he steps in front of it like this, he's losing support. And not only that, I find out last night that nearly 90% of all the battleground states, if you like, the constituencies that he needs to win, to become Prime Minister, to win the general election, over 85% of them voted to leave in the 2016 general election. Referendum. It's not surprising that Boris Johnson is now talking about calling an election if he does this. It's not surprising that he's threatening it. Because he just keeps scoring own goals. He's doing their work for them. They're protesting about something Boris Johnson, remember, is entitled to do. They're protesting about him doing something that has happened 9 of the last 14 years. They're protesting about him doing it. Yes, he's doing it at the most opportune time, but that is his right. He can do it whenever he wants. He can do it whenever he wants. He's within his rights to do it. Yeah, okay, it means we're going to be shut down for another 7 days, but hey, you're not going to sort Brexit out in those 7 days anyway. Maybe it'll make the EU sweat a bit more and come back to the table. Who knows? But they're protesting over something that Boris Johnson is entitled to do. And there's Diane Abbott there the weekend, out in Whitehall today, campaigning against the parliamentary shutdown. Things to do today, said Paul Mason. Come to Parliament Square, 5:30, for an impromptu democratic assembly. And donate to stop the coup. She's asking normal people to donate. Money goes to placards, sound systems and best cars. They want to stop it. You know, there's people who are out there fighting and saying, oh, this is a coup. Fighting to stop Boris Johnson doing something that has happened 9 of the last 14 years. Where the fuck were you when Julian Assange was dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy in an act of fascism? Where the fuck were you? Huh? Diane Abbott made one speech at the box with 4 of her mates behind her, 4 of the Labour mates behind her. She makes one speech and everybody goes, oh, isn't it fantastic? Jeremy Corbyn, one Twitter post, and that's it. That's it. That is an act of fascism on home fucking turf. And we get one speech with 4 of your pals behind you and one tweet. That's it? Seriously, that's it? That's what we get? The 4th estate was literally carried off and thrown in fucking our Gitmo. Literally. In an act of fascism. And we get one tweet and one speech. Yet Boris Johnson does something that has happened 9 of the last 14 years and you lose your shit and start going to Whitehall and doing speeches? Are you trying to lose the next election? Is Mark Blythe right? Is Jeremy Corbyn just crisis management for a dying Labour Party? Because everything they have done this year tells me they don't want to win. It was an act of fascism when Julian Assange was taken out of that embassy by the Met. And they made one speech and one tweet. The OPCW have a report that has been leaked to the Working Group on Syria Propaganda and Media. The OPCW have. It's been leaked to them. It's a genuine report. Authored by somebody who's been at the OPCW since I think it was the 1990s. That casts serious doubt on the findings that Assad had gassed his people just when he was about to win the war, knowing that it was the one thing that was going to make people shoot him, shoot bombs at him, bring the wrath of governments down upon him. That report casts serious doubt on that. That report basically says it's mathematically impossible for those cylinders to have been dropped by helicopters like they said, that led to the bombing of Syria. Remember? The trilateral bombing of Syria with us, with France, and with the United States. It could very well have been a false flag that either the forces that working for the government did, or took advantage of something that happened over there. Maybe the terrorists had gassed somebody and they took advantage of a situation. Who knows? One thing's for sure. The way they said it went down, yeah, that's highly unlikely, to use a term that Theresa May uses so often, especially with the Novichok incident. But that's serious, isn't it? The OPCW having, reports that basically say, hey, yeah, UK, you bombed a country last year based on a false flag by the look of it. Was she screaming about that? Was she out in Whitehall campaigning against that? Campaigning against us, dropping bombs on a country based on false flags and lies? Was she campaigning about that? Was Paul Mason and Owen Jones, were these pricks campaigning about that, about outside Whitehall? No? It's insane. What about this fake anti-Semitism smear that's been smeared about anybody, say the Labour Party, anybody who's critical of Israel? What about that? Are you making speeches about that in Whitehall? Are you saying, we need to stop this coup, the coup of Israel taking over our freedom of speech? Are you doing that? Because trust me, if you did that, the people would be on your side. We would show the media just how fucked up the way they have been framing this message. We would support you. The same way we support the one person in Parliament who is standing up and talking about the OPCW, who is standing up and talking about this fake anti-Semitic smear, who is standing up and talking about Julian Assange. I'm talking about, of course, Chris Williamson. Are you standing up doing speeches on behalf of him, Diane? Are you standing up, like I say, trying to fight back against this fake anti-Semitism smear, which is basically just trying to stop criticism of Israel? That's it. No, not at all. What are they saying? They're saying, they confirm the narrative. We oppose racism in all its forms. That's what they say. How are you inspiring anybody, Labour? How are you inspiring anybody? You are literally getting to the end game here. I can't believe this. I really can't believe what I read just before I came on air, by the way. That, Boris Johnson may be calling an election. Well, he needs 2/3 of the Parliament to vote for an election. There's word that Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party are saying that they won't support a general election. They've been calling for one for 3 fucking years. And now there's rumours that, yeah, if he calls one, we're not going to support it. What the fuck? What are you, a coward? I tell you, they don't insist. I hope to God they're listening to this. I really do. I hope they're listening. I hope they listen and go, oh fuck, we really fucked up. We got to turn around here. Look, we're losing the support of everybody. We're going to end up with fucking Farage and Boris Johnson. Because if they carry on, there's no chance at all Corbyn's going to be PM. None. The only people in Labour right now, the only fucking people in Labour that I respect, the only people affiliated to Labour that I respect, have been silenced and kicked out of the party. Just think about it. Asa Winstanley, great reporter, love him. Kicked out for anti-Semitism, banned from covering the Labour Party conference. Jackie Walker, love her. Anti-racist as you could get. Probably more anti-racist than Jeremy Corbyn. Booted out of the Labour Party for anti-Semitism. George Galloway. Booted out of the Labour Party by the Labour Party, by Tony Blair and the Labour Party, for being right about the Iraq War, a war that they lied us into. Still out. Not been apologised to or anything. Booted out. And of course, Chris Williamson. Suspended now for God knows what. Unsuspended and then resuspended again because Keith Vaz had some dodgy medicine. My friend Pete Gregson. A real fighter. Pete Gregson, being on the show. Real fighter for what's right. A real person you want on your side. Somebody who's not afraid to get down in the trenches and get real dirty and get up to his arms in grease and sweat and dirt. Jackie Walker is even pushing him away. You need people like that in the trenches fighting with you, you goddamn idiots. What hope of any of that, of them booting out these people and campaigning over the wrong things and standing up for the wrong things? They only stand up for what is safe. They don't stand up for what's right anymore. That's safe. Stand up outside the Ecuadorian embassy. Then I'll be impressed. Get your ass to Belmarsh prison. Then I'll be impressed. This is why I get so angry. Jeremy Corbyn was playing a blinder last year. He was an absolute blinder. He hadn't put a foot wrong up until December. When you remember that meeting that he had with MI5? It was about December. They had that reality check meeting, and then they had their winter break, Christmas break. And since he's come back this year, all of his decisions have turned to dog shit. Own goal after own goal after own goal. Doing things every single step of the way that make sure that Labour lose support. Let me just explain things to you. Boris Johnson has a minority government that, even with 1.5 billion pounds of taxpayers' money bunged to the DUP, which is a basically party whose manifesto is something from the Old Testament, he's clinging on by one seat. And you can't get him out. And then after 3 years of you screaming, we need a general election, he says, okay, I'm thinking about giving a general election. You go, no. You've got no idea of the optics of that. Please tell me that Jeremy Corbyn and Labour are not about to say no to a general election, because that, honestly, it would be hilarious. He is losing support every turn, bit by bit. Fear-mongering a no deal to a point where this week they'll probably stop this no deal happening. I have to be honest with this fear-mongering and getting together. They'll probably stop this no deal Brexit. Or as they say, this no deal threat. Let me show you something. You know, if you go to Google or DuckDuckGo, I'm going to Google for this because I want to show, you know, what ordinary folk who use Google see. I don't usually use Google. I usually use DuckDuckGo and SocialJet. But I just want to show a search on Google. Here it is. If you put in Google, if you put things in quotations, it will search for that exact phrase. Okay? So we're looking for any news articles. You can see there, I've got it on the news tab, that any news article that has no deal Brexit threat to in the title or the words. Look at this. Top one. No deal Brexit threat to horse racing. Honestly, the amount of things they fearmonger about a no deal Brexit is astounding. Look at this. No deal Brexit threat to horse racing. Horse racing. How did they work that one out? We can't import glue anymore, so we're going to have to shoot all the horses and make glue out of it? Is that what they were talking about? No deal Brexit, no deal Brexit threat to the cars we buy, warns Marshall Motors boss. No deal Brexit threat to research. No deal Brexit threat to billions of pounds of chemicals. I'll keep going. No deal Brexit threatens UK science industry. Universities warn of no deal Brexit threat to UK climate research. No deal Brexit threat to border fishing communities. It goes on and on and on. The propaganda is astounding. No deal Brexit threat to flights and transport. No deal Brexit is becoming increasingly likely. I was fearmonger about that. Look at this. No deal Brexit threat to Vauxhall's Ellesmere Port. No deal Brexit threat to Huawei. Ericsson warns of no deal Brexit threat to UK. It goes on and on and on. These are just a few. I'm only on page 3. We've got loads to go. It has been non-stop. Who can forget the video I did of the story in the BBC? Brexit threat to sandwiches, they said. It's propaganda, it's fear-mongering, and Corbyn and the Labour Party are going along with it. First of all, it was the NHS. You remember? The NHS, oh, there won't be enough medicine. Won't be enough medicine, we're all going to die. The NHS, won't be enough medicine, we're going to die. Then it was freedom of movement. Freedom of movement's going to stop. All of the people that are over here from the EU, they're all going to have to go back home, which means all the nurses and the doctors that came over here from the EU, they're all going to go. We're going to have no nurses and doctors in the NHS, and we're all going to die. That was next, you remember? Then there was a recession. We're going to have a recession, a nosedive Brexit, a nosedive no deal Brexit. We're going to have a recession, the likes we've never seen, and we're all going to die. Then it was Northern Ireland. The Northern Ireland, we need a border in the Northern Ireland, and that means the start of the Troubles again, and we're all going to die. It has been non-stop for 3 years. Non-stop. And people are still split the way they were 3 years ago, even after 3 years of propagandizing. And now we come to the latest incarnation of Project Fear. Donald Trump. This one, they might have an actual point with. This one, they might be onto something with. Let's be honest. But the point I'm trying to make is Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party have been taking every step towards guaranteeing the very thing they fear the most. A move to right-wing authoritarianism with Boris Johnson and a move towards the Donald Trump philosophy. Jeremy Corbyn, if you look at what he's done this year in the Labour Party, everything they have done has been allowing the Conservatives to do and take this course of action. Everything. And then there's these pricks. Not Diane Abbott, she's cool. Although, please Diane, come on. If you're going to protest something, get your ass to Belmarsh prison. But look at these pricks. Look at them. Don't let our democracy be stolen from us. Take to the streets tonight, 5:30, and stop the coup. Are they all actors playing a part? You've got to ask it, haven't you? Where the fuck were you, Owen? Huh? Where the fuck were you when Julian was dragged out in that act of fascism? Where were you, Mason? Huh? Owen Jones works for The Guardian. The Guardian publishing outright lies against Julian Assange. The Paul Manafort story. So bad that even Guardian writers won't reference it in their own publication. Is he standing up for that, Owen Jones? Is he standing up for, a media organisation, his own company, lying, propagandising the world over something? No. Over a fellow journalist, somebody nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 7 times. 7! For journalism. 7 times. How many times has he been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize? That's a journalist, Owen Jones, that was dragged out. Where the fuck were you? Never saw you outside the Ecuadorian embassy. Never saw you, going nuts on Twitter about that. Did you send a fucking tweet out again, did you? Did you say, I oppose this? Think that's enough? Watching Diane Abbott demand democracy be restored and our sovereign parliament be given full force, says Femi. Stop the coup. They are not standing up for you. They're really not. They're puppets. They're puppets in a puppet show. The problem is, we don't know whose hand is up their ass controlling them. Democracy and sovereignty, these are things that you're going to hear words like democracy and sovereignty, like Femi is saying there. Demand democracy and restore our sovereign government, our sovereign parliament be given full force. You're going to hear words like that a lot in the coming weeks. If we had a democracy, Femi, we'd have left the EU already. It's not that difficult. If it really is a trading bloc like they say, it's just a trading bloc they say, we'd have left already. And as for a sovereign parliament, were you not fucking listening? When he was dragged out in that act of fascism? Were you not listening? The UK has no sovereignty. The UK must resist. Not some fucking stupid little coup. It's a coup! He shut the government down for 7 days when he's entitled to, and 9 of the last 14 years it's happened. And one of those years, 2014, it was almost twice as long. It's a coup! We don't have sovereignty. If we had sovereignty, he wouldn't have been dragged out of his asylum in that act of fascism. If Parliament actually had control, if the government had control, if the House of Commons had control and had authority, there's no way they would have let him be dragged out of his asylum in an act of fascism. You wouldn't have allowed it. We don't have sovereignty. We don't have human rights. They took his human rights away. He's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 7 times. They took his human rights away. They tortured him for 9 years on home turf. If he doesn't have human rights, somebody who's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 7 times, do you? Do I? Do we fuck? It's a puppet show, is what it is. A goddamn puppet show. Giving you the illusion that Parliament is sovereign. That the Parliament has control over the country. That Parliament's say is final. And the government's say is final. He knows it's bullshit. A foreign entity reached its tentacles in under the noses of the entire nation of the United Kingdom and pulled out a journalist who published the truth. He did the job of a publisher. He did it well. Better than everybody else. And they reached in and plucked him out. And now they're going to extradite him to, let's say, a country that high-profile people don't do too well in their prisons. Have a word, with Jeffrey Epstein's guards. We have to stand up for Julian Assange. We really do. Because no fucking body else is. None of our MPs are. None of them. Jeremy Corbyn's not standing up for him. He's not standing up for the fourth estate. Diane Abbott's not. And you're damn sure that people like Boris Johnson are not going to. Because he's going to try and give him wrapped up in a pink bow to Donald Trump. And that's why I keep coming back to this guy. Because the more that Jeremy Corbyn and the more that the likes of Diane Abbott score own goals over and over and over again, the more this guy is going to end up in the clutches of a fascist government that are going to kill him.